What's up, manga fans, and welcome back to another review of Bleach. This week's chapter 638, Boiling Malice and Total Comedy. I think that title more or less speaks for itself in terms of, the chapter we read today, as it was total comedy in my opinion. I had fun reading this chapter. It was hilarious, and it was particularly mostly Mayuri, and the fact that I kept calling him Batman in this chapter, because to me he seems like he's the Batman of Soul Society. He doesn't really have much power or any power at all if you compare him to the other captains, but his science and technology always manages to make him win his battles. And we've seen this a lot in the past, so it's nothing new. But to see him go toe to toe with, a piece of a celestial being, I mean, he's going up against the Soul King's left arm, he's going up against a piece of a god, and he's using science and technology to basically outmaneuver and somewhat overpower it. And it just makes me laugh because someone like Kimpachi, who's probably the most strongest captain, was unable to do anything, especially when Mayuri stepped in and put him, sedated him. But Mayuri's doing quite fine. And as I said, all the devices he was using, it just made me think he was Batman, because he's not using any of his own natural abilities like what most other Shinigamis would use. He's just using the science and technology that he's developed. And it does seem like an arsepool that he always arrives to battles and basically conveniently has what he needs to counteract, whatever the enemy throws at him. But to me, I've always enjoyed it that way. It just seems like he's always two steps ahead. He's similar to Urahara in that sense, that they're always prepared. So it's nothing too new to me, so I don't complain. But going into this chapter, it was funny because it was just basically Peninda, more or less. I'd say that theory that everyone seems to be coming on, stating. I saw it in the comments last week that the right arm was most likely for the Shinigami. The left arm that we're seeing now was most likely for the Quincy's, and we've seen this where Peninda states his name not being the left arm of the Soul King. His name is Peninda, and basically Mayuri completely disagrees with this, and he's like, you don't get to decide your own name. I found you, so I'll decide your name. But then he says, you know what, because you're special, I'll leave it. But when Peninda further goes on to proclaim that he can't forgive Mayuri because he's an enemy of the Quincy's, that made me think that this is literally probably the embodiment of the Quincy's from the Soul King's body, and that's who it represents. It naturally protects Quincy's, or would side with them, unless, as I said, Juha hijacked it and made a contract with one of the Quincy's. But as I said, that theory's still up in the air of each limb representing a race, or of in the Bleach world. But if it is, it would be interesting if it is actually you know actually a true theory and it works that way. But more of these powers was shown in this chapter, and it shows that his nerves are not just for biological or not biological, organic objects like humans and things that are living. He can actually use it on inanimate objects and solid things like the ground. And he uses his nerves right at the beginning to create a hand from the stone ground. And this is obviously intrigued Mayuri more. And this is the part where I started laughing, is when Mayuri used something he hasn't used since Soul Society, his retractable hand, which is called, I didn't even know it had a name, it's called Jabarai Kainan or something like that. It's funny because the last time we saw her use it, he was trying to grab Orihime when she was being taken away. But this time he uses it like Batman's, grapple claw. And I was laughing because he's just going up the thing calmly and trying to escape, and I was literally in stitches at that part. Maybe not many people laughed at it, but personally I was laughing because I just thought, oh my god, Mayuri's Batman. And then when Peninda follows up by using the nerves against two buildings to make two hands basically come together and crush him, his suit, he uses his I can't remember what it's called, the luminescent armor, to explode. And everyone, and as I said, fun. You have Yumichika and Ikaku watching this, and it's just making me laugh how they're panicking over everything. It's like, oh, he's blown up, and he's like, nope, I made it explode to protect me. And then when he's falling now, the obviously the nerves from Peninda are on the floor, so Yumichika is panicking like, don't touch the floor, Mayuri. He's going to be able to control you and twist up your body. But funny enough, Mayuri touches the back of his heel, and his shoes stop him, and he's floating on Reishi. So we find out that Mayuri is using the Quincy movement technique, Hiri and Kyaku. So I'm like, how did he manage to do that? Is this from all the the germs he put in Ishta's body and basically researched it, and he found out a way to use his technology to put it into his shoes? And this is why I said he's like Batman. He's just using all these devices, things that he shouldn't be able to do. And as I said, it's just funny because Peninda is not being able to do anything despite being, as I said, a godlike being. And we even see Mayuri take on the offensive, and he throws one of those weird explosives, which is like, it looks like someone's head, and it wraps around Peninda's pinky, and he explodes it, and Peninda actually screams in complete pain. And he throws preservative fluids on. He's like, "Oh, this should keep it safe." And he's basically mocking, saying, "Yes, I'll take a piece. I'll take a sample now." And I'm just thinking, there's so much disrespect coming from Mayuri. He just doesn't see Peninda as a piece of a god being. He just sees him as a new lab rat for his experiments, and Peninda is not managing to do anything for him. But at the end of the chapter, we see Mayuri actually was caught off, and the nerves basically extend from the pinky that Mayuri chops off and goes into his arm, and his arm bursts. But Mayuri quickly repairs it. He stitches it back together, and he arranges all like the nerves and the anatomical structure of his arm, claiming that, Peninda, you won't be able to take control of my body that easily. Don't even try it. And I'm just thinking, wow, what a badass scientist he is. He really has me laughing in this chapter, but he's badass at the same time. And if Mayuri is Batman, then Nemu can be Alfred, because she seems so calm and as usual anyway. But it just makes me laugh how they just fit the role in that regard. But all the techniques he used was just really hilarious, and I have to say, Mayuri is pretty much OP as hell in this chapter, and this is more or less a Cezelle fight 2.0, which we saw way back in Yoranka art, where he's completely decimating the enemy with just science and as I said, technology, as he usually does. So at this point, Mayuri is doing well. He's managing to fend off Peninda, and we might as well say take control of this battle quite easily. So the only thing I can think is either Mayuri is going to win this fairly easy, or something bad's going to happen. But we'll see, because the way Peninda was kind of looming, like his arm was just there looming in, kind of shrouded in shadows at the end, makes me think something might change the pace of this battle into Peninda's favor. But we'll just have to wait and see. But as I said, final verdict, this chapter was funny, it was enjoyable. Seeing Mayuri use all the several techniques, and obviously from his science and technology, was enjoyable, especially against something like a godlike being. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this chapter. It made me laugh, and I can't wait to see the next one, see how this battle's going to fare out. But you guys know the usual. If you enjoyed this chapter, let me know what you think in the comment box below, and I'll speak to you guys next time. Take care.